Mama. If it's ready. Yeah, I think so. Just when you're ready. You're good. Okay. Okay, 구수요 출근합니다. 주야 이벤소치 기미소치 베니헤 데뷔. Guys online, thank you for joining us. Sorry we're kind of late today, but weather is part of it, and then people are staying home because of Super Bowl, I guess, and the weather. Weather here, for those of you who are watching from Honolulu, it's way calmer than what we left back there. Hope you guys have your power on. That came back, but I know the wind's pretty bad in Honolulu. Here it's nice, it's like calm, but Hilo people are still being careful. So we don't have as much here today as we usually do, but hopefully they'll come later. So wanted to, again, start off with our protocol to honor this place like we always do, and especially here at Kakaula, and especially this month with Pepeluali, Mahina Olala Hawaii, with this month being the month of Hawaiian language, and also tomorrow being the La Hanau, or the birthday of Princess Ruth Ke'elikolani, who's the matron of our college here at Hilo, and also my me'e, or my heroine for leading me and bringing me to this space and helping to connect, and thanks to UH Hilo College, Hawaiian Language College. We're doing a lot, and we have a lot of support from them. And actually, Kumu Yumiko is going to be taking a bunch of Haumana, or students from Hilo, from Navahi to Okinawa in a couple weeks.
Next Sunday.
Oh, you don't have to make it that quick. next Sunday, she said. So that's another connection that we have, and exchanges that we're doing, learning from each other, sharing that too, so that we can grow. So I want to start off with, today we're lucky to have one of the students from Kakao, one of the star students from the linguistics department at Hawaiian Studies. Kahio, Keoluolu, Hokipa. Yes. Eku kapu.
This short blurb, wow. This mele was written by Kumu Larry Kimura when he was sitting, so what we've heard is when he was sitting in Kona, watching, maybe it wasn't Kona, when he was sitting with a manaleo and a kupuna named Catalina Kaleva. He was watching the sunrise with her, and he wrote this mele about the sun rising up. It talks about the sun rising from the sea and up, and it represents Hawaii becoming enlightened. And so it's a good way to open up a enlightening imi na'oa type of a space for us. And so when we do this, we look at where the sun rises, and it's called Ua Hawaii. Hawaii has been enlightened. So the east is roughly that way. I don't know. Yeah. And kapoe, mopopoe, mele. Kau e kawanau ke au I kalani, he weke I ka pōpiripuka, he elele o ka poni hikina, kau ke kahe au ka au I ka ala apapa, la ia nei unau ke kukulu o kalani la, o ka ui e uli alo nei ka ulu e ai ai. Wow, maila ko mala mai ka honua nei ka maliola ua o Hawaii I ke olino nei mai ka piina ka velona kala ka hiko ia I ka ike mano ka ike koli umai o kikilo mai o ka uno ia o ka pulama apa ama ka ibu o ka ike ai wow
And then to our ancestors, Sariutotu, Atotu, Chuya, Yukaruhini, Masaruhini, Junin-gwachi no 15日ビタン、昼夜8枚未満ティキミソーチ中のうちなのこと一平便長サビングトウニゲーサビラウトウトアートウト OK マーロニヘイデビル Okay, so we'll start with, again, announcements. Those of you, we just sent out the announcements for the general registration for our summit coming up March 13th through the 15th. Again, we're really happy. We just got a confirmation from our friends from Aotearoa who are coming to the summit, and we're looking forward to hearing from them on some keynote speeches or presentations that they'll be doing. We met them from WIPSI, and they're really excited to come for our summit and also see what we're doing within our community. So looking forward to that. So 13th to the 15th, it's open now. Also, those from the neighbor islands, there's a very special rate for if you need a hotel, Pagoda Hotel, which is just refurbished and re-renovated. They are offering a really cheap rate of $119 a night. So can't find that any place else, I think, in Hawaii. So if you're looking for a place to stay, that's a good place. So there's a link that we can send you for that special conference rate. Yeah. Okay, so today, since we have Sōgwachi, which is the new year coming up on the 17th of this month, yeah, next week. Wanted to go over some of this and how it wanted you guys to start to think how it connects to our identity as Duchu, Nukwa, or Uchinanchu, yeah. So again, Ukwanshin-Sōgwachi, yeah, is, we say, a lot of people have been saying like, oh, what is that? Sōgwachi Debiru, because of the Gregorian New Year, yeah, or what we call it in Okinawan is Uranda Sōgwachi, yeah, the Western New Year. So they've been saying Sōgwachi Debiru, but then the people who are doing language in Okinawa say Uranda Sōgwachi Debiru. Yeah, we designate that as the Western New Year, yeah, because our real New Year is really on the lunar calendar, not on the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so the lunar calendar is really important to us because to understand the lunar calendar and how important it is to our culture, identity, spirituality, it's the question, you know, people always ask, oh, is it always on the same date? No, it's not. Yeah, the date moves from year to year. So this year it's later than last year's. Yeah, when it goes into February, it's kind of on the later side. Yeah, so that's why when you think about like your Asian zodiac, your animal year, you really have to go by the year that you were born, especially if you're born in January or February, yeah, and that will decide what animal year. You can't, you shouldn't traditionally just say, oh, I'm a pig, or I'm a horse, or I'm a snake, I'm a this, if you're at the beginning of the year. It really depends, because the year is different. The new year starts different every year, yeah. And then this year is the year of the fire horse. Yeah, so the fire horse comes out fire horse comes out every 60 years. So if you're 60 years old this year, this is the fire horse year. The other horse years, like there's wood horse, water horse, that too. So you gotta find out what element your animal is under also, yeah. So Japan is the only Asian country that does not officially observe the Lunar New Year. Yeah, it was abolished. The use of that was abolished in the lunar calendar or they abolished the use of the lunar calendar in 1873 at the beginning of the Meiji Restoration. But there are in country places small pockets that still observe Lunar New Year, and it's getting that way in Okinawa also. Yeah, they're starting to pick up more of or assimilate to the Japanese traditions more. But in places like Itomang, in Yayama, Miyako, Yonaguni, a lot of some of the country areas, they still, it's a big observance. It's not a holiday though. Okay, so first when we talk about the lunar calendar, we also want to look at our celestial sky guides, yeah. So we look at what we call bushi, or our stars, our hoshi, yeah, bushi. And then we can see that these constellations were used traditionally by our people. And so these are some of the things that even those, like right now, hajichi or Okinawa tattoos are very, very popular. Yeah, these are some things that they used also to put onto the, as part of the hajichi. Yeah, the placements of the different designs were also connected to the constellations, depending on when the person receiving hajichi was born. Yeah, so the person doing the hajichi would have to go back and have to know this knowledge of the skies, of the celestial constellations, to be able to connect that person to where the designs are going to go on her hand. So that would remind them every year of that connection. It's not necessarily for that person to say, oh, this is me. Yeah, it's to remind the person that your birth date and your constellations is connected to your ancestors. Yeah, so that's very important. And also these constellations, or knowing these constellations, was very important for our navigating. Yeah, we were traditionally we were wayfinders. We were travelers of the ocean, just like the other Pacific cousins. But that was all taken away once Japan had taken over. So we see some similar things that we also see in the Pacific. It's not seen in Japan like this, where we have what we call our shiti sarami ishi, which is the star stones, or stones and stone formations that they use for navigation. Yeah, it also were placed at certain areas to mark certain times of the year. It would line up with the equinox and the different seasons. So like there were villages who had the stones set up in sacred areas, in the Gusku, yeah, or in the what is that, the sacred groves, the utaki, and these would be placed in certain spacings and certain like circular or half circular shapes, to represent to show the different parts of the season during the year. Yeah, so how the sun rises, and then also, looking at night, looking at the moon to see the moon phases also, and connecting all of that. Yeah. And then there are some of these stones also, like the one on the bottom left, that was used by the navigators to go to this area, do their protocols and ceremonies, and then they would launch their boats from that area, from down the hill from that area, so that they know the direction that they're going to go to, or that they needed to go to. Yeah. So you can see some of the small maps there of Aguri Island, and then Kume, and Kubajima. So these are like, they also had these stones placed in certain areas to mark the direction of going to another island. Yeah. So they knew that when they launched their sabani, or their canoes, that they would have to face in a certain way from that rock. Yeah.
So it's largely found where they would be launching their boats?
Not necessarily. Some of it is on a hill because they can see. Yeah. Yeah. And then like Utaki and stuff like that, a lot of them were up in the mountains. So those sacred areas would be on a higher area. Yeah, because there's the realm of that the mountains were considered sacred. That's why most of the Utaki were up in the mountains, a lot of them, because that's where they believed that the gods resided. Okay, so we go to our Chinese zodiac. So you guys might be thinking, oh, what does this have to do with New Year? So we'll get to that. Yeah, you gotta wait. Chinese New Year zodiacs. Again, this was adapted from the Chinese culture. Again, the 12 zodiac signs. So you guys kind of should know, and then also it has to do with some of the constellations too. Yeah. So they had different constellations that represented the animal zodiac. So you have the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. Yeah. So last year was snake. That's actually, it finished pretty much on the 4th of this month. Because the 4th of this month represents the beginning of, in the lunar calendar, it represents the beginning of spring. Yeah. In Japanese culture, they call it Setsubun, I think. In Okinawa culture, they just look at it as the beginning of spring, because that's when the seasons kind of start to change. Yeah. Okay, so to start to prepare for the Sōgwachi. So all of this, there's people who kind of, maybe you have a religion that you might not feel comfortable doing this kind of thing because you might think that it's against your beliefs or your religion. This is not really religion, this is cultural. Yeah, that's how I look at it. But also a lot of it makes sense, and we'll see why in a little bit. So like to greet the new year, you want to clean your house. You want to get your yard clean also, and then by the beginning of the spring. Yeah, which is the 4th, or from the 4th until New Year's also, you can still do your preparations. Yeah, because it's still moving into that Sōgwachi. Yeah, so you do all of that, and then you clean and you wipe down your totome, or some people call it butsudang, but it's not really a butsudang because we don't honor or pay respects to the Buddha. Yeah, Okinawan spirituality is we honor our ancestors. So that's the totome. Guardians, the family guardians, you get rid of the clutter in your house, throw away old things, and fix up broken areas like a broken door or a squeaky door or like broken faucets so that you don't waste water and things like that. It's not really superstitious kind of stuff. It's just it helps you. You save money and you help the environment when you fix your leaky faucets and your showers. You help safety when you fix up things in your house and you don't have clutter. You're not going to fall over things and what people think is bad luck. Yeah, you make everything clean and nice. Yeah, for the new year. Okay, so New Year decorations and displays. So the customs for this differ from village to village, yeah, and from island to island. So the first thing that we do in Okinawa is, or one of the main things is the tantokubu, yeah. So in Hawaii, like we've taken on the Japanese traditions of displaying the I don't know. So I've heard it called different, like kagami mochi or kasane mochi. The mochi, the two mochi, the big one and the small one, and then the orange on the top. So Okinawa people usually don't do that. Yeah, now they're starting to pick it up more and more. But what they display is the tantokubu and rice. Yeah, uncooked rice mound and then that on top. I have a picture of that. Also, rice stalks to represent prosperity. Yeah. And wishes for the family to always have abundance of food. Pine branches, which represent strength and vitality, yeah, because of the green, the evergreen, and also sang, which is like I guess it would be like a slip knot, yeah, that's made with stalks of grass. You would tie that, and you would make it into that slip knot with a loop, and then you would put it at the entrances of your house. Yeah, instead of in Japanese culture, what we see here in Hawaii is the kadomatsu. Yeah. Mounds of oranges displayed in the house or in the totome to represent, again, abundance and prosperity. Sata andagi, yeah, to also represent happiness, because again, people call it andagi, but it's supposed to be called sata andagi. Andagi just means fried things like tempura. Yeah, sata andagi is sweet fried thing. Yeah, so proper name is sata andagi, and the sata andagi is supposed to have a crack because it represents a happy face, and that tradition is not Okinawan. It was actually adopted from the Chinese. Yeah, Chinese make this little one. It looks like little mini sata andagi that's called kai kao shell, and it has the same meaning of happiness. Yeah, or laughing, kind of means like laughing balls. And then other sweets. Yeah, so about a week and a half ago, there was the day of Muchi. I think that was on the 3rd. What was the last Monday? The 3rd? Yeah. The last Monday of last month of January was Muchi Day. Yeah. So the Muchi is made in ginger leaves. It's steamed in ginger leaves, and it's left. The tradition is that if you have children in the house, you display that all tied together. For each child that's in the house, you hang it outside on the eaves of the house. And then also you make some for the offering for the totome and then to display in the house also. So this mochi, a lot of people eat it that day after they finish, and leave the other ones as like offerings. And then you have another bunch that you can keep, because the day mochi is actually also representing the coldest day in the winter. Yeah. So when they make the mochi, they keep some on the side, and then you can keep it also for this day to display, and it becomes hard. Yeah, like if you guys know the ningao or the gao, that the Chinese one, yeah, that comes hard, and then you cut it, and then you either fry it or you re-steam it again, and it comes soft again. Yeah. So the mochi is the same thing. It comes soft after you fry it or you cook it again.
Is that what we did?
Yeah, we made mochi here. Yeah,
Okay.
last year. And then also they have like scrolls or pictures of certain guardians. A guardian that was adopted by Okinawa too, or Luchu, is the guardian Guanggong, who's one of the warrior guardians of the family and of the house. So that's displayed in the house also, or they have other guardians for like the crane or the turtle, or those kinds of things too. Yeah. And then also New Year poems that they write on red paper, and then also good luck wishes. Yeah. So you can see this is the tantukubu, so that black thing on the top. So it's charcoal wrapped up in with kelp, with seaweed. The meaning of that is that the charcoal represents light, and also happiness, as well as the kubu also represents happiness because it sounds like yuru kubu, or happiness, And then they put it on a mound of rice in these containers. So there's different, the one that you display in the house for just like how you would display the mochi is one, if you have like a totome or a butsudang, you would have two on the top, and then you have three for the hinukan, or for the fire god in the house. Okay, now they have all of this decoration and stuff on it, but way before, they didn't have, it was just the kubu wrapped around the charcoal, But if you guys are gonna make your own, don't use the bagged charcoal for this, because the bagged charcoal has chemicals inside, So this charcoal is, I guess you can make your own. I haven't seen anybody make their own here, but it's wood that's burnt, and it gets hard as charcoal, So like, I guess over here you can use like kiawe. That might come out like that. And then this is a picture of the branches of machi, or the green pine, and then there's the stalks of rice. It's hard to find stalks of rice here because we don't have people who grow much rice, and I think it's not. They won't send. If you go and find from the continent, they won't send any of the grains to you because that's seeds. Okay, and this is a picture of that guardian, Guangguang. And then these are Chinese ones. I didn't get pictures of the Okinawa yucca, But Okinawa also writes things like this too. But most of this in the old days were done by people of the upper class because they were the only ones who knew how to read and write. Yeah, the regular people didn't read and write. Everything was oral. Yeah.
Eric, real quick, somebody had a question about, you said something about the totome are like our guardians, or what did you say about that?
Oh, for the totome, you have the different offerings. Yeah, they're not, well, your ancestors are your guardians, your family guardians, yeah. But there are other guardians for your family too, you know, that people have. A lot of the families have forgotten about their guardians, but it connects to different animals, sometimes different plants that are guardians for your family, yeah. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, somebody just had a question about
Okay.
the relationship.
Okay, so when we get to observing Sōgwachi, New Year's Eve, preparing and offering food for the ancestors and family. So it's always, in all of our ceremonies and protocol, there's usually always food involved. Either after the protocol and ceremony, there's food and drink, or during the offering, yeah, there's always food, some kind of food or offering, a drink, yeah. So that's one of the essential things that we have to prepare. And also, you know, when we look at our identity and our culture, these things like this bring the family together, yeah. So not too long, I mean, it's starting to disappear now or be minimalized where families don't have big family gatherings anymore. So they would go to the main ancestral house and then they would do their ceremonies and protocols. The kitchen area was where the women did all the cooking and preparing of all of that. The men would be outside in the living area where the totome or the ancestral tablets would be. And then they would be watching the kids and also talking story in there. The women would be talking story in the kitchen, yeah? And maybe some of you might remember, because I remember the first generation was like that, where the babans would all get together, or the elder women would get together in the kitchen. They would be preparing stuff, and the men outside drinking and talking story and watching the kids. Yeah, but then the things that's important about that is that's where the stories are retold and also passed down. And also where people find out, okay, what's happening to you, you know, how's the kids, what are they doing, you know, things like that. As to where nowadays, sometimes when I see families have gatherings, it's not those important things about the family anymore. It's about, oh, we went on this trip. Oh yeah, you guys went there. Oh, we went on this trip. Oh, our son is going to Stanford now. Oh yeah. Oh, my daughter is going to Yale. You know, it becomes a competition now of who can overdo who, instead of, you know, how's this person? How are they doing? You know, how is your family? What you guys did, and how's your house? How's, you know, that kind of stuff. Or like, oh, do you remember what grandma did? Or, you know, that those kinds of histories, oral histories from the family too, were passed down during these times when you have observances. So it's not only Sōgwachi, all of this, you know, we'll see that throughout the year in Okinawa, there's always a celebration or an observance every month at least, where families should or would get together, yeah, and these things would be passed down. So, you know, you have your oral histories, which represent also and includes our language, yeah, which is really important. That's how the languages were preserved and persevered through all of the generations, yeah, was through all of this kind of history and how it was passed down, yeah. And each area, again, had their own dialect too, yeah, or language. So the food that they prepared for this special time usually included fish from the ocean, the chicken, which represented the birds from the sky, and then the pig, which represented the land, and also the sweets, yeah, which represented happiness, yeah. So all of these things were prepared usually on only happy occasions or celebrations, yeah. So a lot of people think Okinawans are pig eaters and they eat pig all the time, and that's what Okinawa people eat. That's why you see people talk about shoyu pork. There's a difference in that too. Shoyu pork, if you eat shoyu pork and it's on the sweet side, that's not Okinawan. Yeah, that's called kakuni. That's a Japanese. That's a Japanese food. Okinawa pork belly is more like kaoyok. Yeah, Chinese kaoyok. If you're familiar with kaoyok, it's not. They use brown sugar, but it's not really sweet. And then some places also add miso. Yeah, in that. And a lot of Okinawa sauces, the main secret ingredient is katsuo. Yeah, or bonito. Yeah. So meat was only in tradition. It was only eaten for happy occasions, and also when you serve, there's a difference with the pork belly, yeah, for the kakuni. Not kakuni. I'm sorry. The rafte, what we call rafte. When you serve it, like for New Year's, for somebody's birthday, for obong is a happy occasion. For happy celebrations, the fat part of the pork is always facing up. Yeah. If you're gonna serve that for like any of the memorial days after a person has passed away until 1 year service, or you're offering it at some kind of memorial, or it's not a happy occasion, the pork is flipped over and the fat is on the bottom where you cannot see the fat, because fat represents abundance and happiness. Yeah. So you don't show the fat for sad occasions. Same thing with sata andagi. Sata andagi is not served like for funerals, like how we see in Hawaii sometimes. It's for happy occasions. Yeah. And before, if you want to think about Okinawa diet, again, the traditional Okinawa diet was more vegetables, seafood, fish, not sashimi. Sashimi is Japanese, yeah. Okinawans didn't eat raw fish. And some people might say, oh, yes, they did, yes, they did. What Okinawans did, why we say not raw fish, not sashimi, is because they always squeeze the shikwasa on it, which makes it into a ceviche. Yeah, it cooks. It kind of cooks the acid from the shikwasa or from the lime, cooks the meat. Yeah. So again, that was that was a tradition. Yeah. And the meat was only slaughtered once a year, right before the New Year, and it was distributed in the community, and they would put it in barrels and salt it, and then when they needed it, they would take it out. If they ran out, of course, they would kill pig again and then redistribute or give to the families who need. Yeah. But other than that, it was preserved in salt, and they would take it out of the salt barrels, and then clean it and boil it and cook it. Yeah. So again, sweets, if we look at Okinawa things, sweets were only used for happy occasions. Yeah. No sweets were eaten any time. It wasn't like now where, oh, I want candy, I'm gonna eat candy today. You know, it wasn't like that. Yeah. The meat, again, they didn't eat too much meat, only for certain occasions. Rice, they didn't, especially the common people, didn't have access to rice. Yeah. They had access to other grains, barley, wheat, what is that? I forget the other ones. But the main starch for the regular people was taro and sweet potato. Yeah. And then also chicken. Yeah, they didn't have too much chicken in their diet. Yeah. So a lot of, tofu also. Tofu. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see that it's a really, really healthy diet. Yeah. So anyway, those are the main things for New Year's food. Yeah, something, a fish, a chicken, or some kind of bird meat, the pig, and then some kind of sweets. Yeah, like the sata and the ghee. So offering to the, also you offer to the four corners of the property. So you take a little bit of something and you put it on the four corners of the property. That's for the spirits who don't have any families who do any offerings at their house. So you have wandering spirits to help keep them happy so that they don't come to your house and make trouble. Yeah. So that's putting outside. So a lot of people might say, oh, I don't believe in that. See, you know, that's not. If you think about that, then maybe like think of it as just a thank you to the land, a thank you to what's around us, the land that gives us our food, water, and air. Yeah. And then there was use of firecrackers, but then in the traditional days, what they used instead of firecrackers was the adan numi, yeah, adan numi, or what here we call the lauhala, yeah. So the hala fruit. In Okinawa, it's a little bit different than what we have in Hawaii. It hangs down, there's a stem on it and it hangs down more. It's a little bit smaller, and the pods are not as stuck together as the one in Hawaii. It's more, you can see a more separation of it. So what they did was they would take the pandanus fruit or the hala fruit, and then they would whack it on the ground. And when all the pods release, it makes a snapping sound, like firecracker. Yeah. So that's what they used to use to clear the area of bad energy. Because again, the hala was also, you don't use that or display the fruit for happy occasions. They only use the fruit for happy occasions to use for the sound. But for sad occasions like funerals and stuff like that, they would display the fruit, the pandanus fruit or the hala fruit, to represent transition, you know, going into another realm. Okay, and then you would rest, no work for 3 days. Yeah. So from Sōgwachi, yeah, you don't do any work. So that's why you got to clean the house and do all of that before, because you're not supposed to take out brooms, you're not supposed to clean during the 3 days, because that would be like sweeping out the good stuff that came in for New Year's. Yeah.
Okay, somebody had another question about what are the 5 good fortunes? is it Wufu? I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think Okinawa people follow too much that. That's more of a Chinese thing, yeah. Like they have the writing five, the Chinese character for 5, and then the Chinese character for fuku, or the good luck, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on New Year's Day, so again, Sōgwachi, when we talk about Sōgwachi, it doesn't only mean that day, or the New Year's Day. Sōgwachi talks about the whole month, yeah? So we don't have, like in Japanese, they call the first month, in Japanese, it translates to first month, yeah? Ichigatsu, yeah? But in Okinawa, we don't call it Ichigatsu, we call it Sōgwachi. Because that whole month we celebrate the new year. There's all these celebrations or observances. So the first one, on that, when New Year's Day in the morning, again, there's tradition now that they go, in Okinawa, they go to look at the sunrise. That's a Japanese thing, yeah. In Okinawa instead, they wake up in the morning, the young children of the house would go down to the village springs and fill up the containers with water, with fresh spring water, after they do their prayers and their offerings at the springs. Yeah, because again, the springs in Okinawa are representations of the Earth Mother, yeah, of the Earth Mother and the life-giving water that is connected, when we think about it, goes and connects us back to our first environment where we lived. Yeah, when we were conceived, we were in the world of water. Yeah, that water was our life source, our protection, and so when we're outside, the Earth Mother becomes our adopted mother, and she's the one that gives this life-giving water that comes out from the springs. Yeah, so that's collected, and it's used as drinking and also as a sacred essential for ceremonies and protocols. So the wakamichi tui is to go and take or to get. Yeah. And waka means young, and miji is water. Yeah. So the waka miji tui actually means the first water for that year. Yeah. The kids go down and get it. They bring it back to the house. Some of it is used boiled and then made the tea, and then the young children will go and serve the elders tea in the morning, and while they're doing that, the elders will take some of that water. Some places they sprinkle some sea salt inside and mix it in the water, and they use it as blessings for the children and the family. So the elders will take like their middle finger, and they'll put their hands on top of the forehead of the children and the family, yeah, to bless everybody for the year. Yeah. And then there's the and then some of the water also is used for the first offering of water to the ancestors on the totome also. Yeah. So this is still done in some places in Okinawa, the wakamichi tui. Yeah, but usually now they switch to the Gregorian calendar and they do it. Hinukang ugami. Oh, I'm sorry. The wakamichi tui again is the going out and picking a branch of the pine tree, and then taking that back home and displaying that in the home for to represent the strength and vitality that the matsu or the machi represents. Then there's the hinukang ugami, which you go to the fire guardian of the house first, and then to the totome, to the ancestors. Yeah. So usually again that's done by the eldest female of the house. Yeah, because she has that responsibility for the family, for the community, for the protocols, for the ceremony, and for the women are the ones with the connection to the ancestors and to the guardians. Okay, so after the children offer the elders the tea and things have started, then the elders will go and give them iriching, yeah, or a small gift of money in a wrapped up in an envelope, yeah. Okay, so here's some pictures of the Wakamiji Tui. Yeah, so this is more, the one on the top left is a village one. You can see them using containers and they're getting the water from the springs. And then the others, the other three photos are the Shuri observance. So it's a big ceremony and protocols that they go through. Yeah, so the priestesses also go down and do this kind of offerings and stuff first and fill up the container. And then it's taken into the Shuri palace. Okay, then
I have a quick question. So on their dress, is that like a royalty dress, or is that like, would the common people have a different dress?
for which one?
Just in those processions,
The white?
like all of them actually.
Yeah, white are all of the kaminchu or the priestesses. Yeah. So they always use a white overcoat. The inside might be a different color, but if you see them wearing white over, they're usually kaminchu.
Are the priestess like they inherited from
Usually it's inherited, yeah. Yeah.
the lineage?
Yeah, it's usually lineage. Yeah. So that's the part when we look at, identity part, yeah. Nowadays, people seem to have a choice. So the younger generation now, there's some who don't want to continue that. They like say, no, I don't want to do that. One, they don't know the language, some of them, yeah. And then some is just like, I don't want that responsibility, or either I don't believe in that, or that kind of stuff. Yeah, they want to do their own thing. So like in Kudaka is like the central area for the Nuru, yeah. For Kudaka, there used to be every 12 years. Actually, the year of the horse. Every 12 years, they would have a gathering of all of the Nuru, or all of the priestesses from all over Okinawa, and they would have a ceremony. Yeah, but that hasn't been done since in the 70s, I think, was the last time that it was done. Because after that, they said they don't have enough. They said that they need a certain amount of women, and then that's where they also is that word to also bless and bring in the new priestesses. Yeah. So that's they said there's not enough because the women have like died off, or they're not continuing. But there's interest that's coming back, but they're saying that, oh, you have to be of a certain lineage, you have to be from here, yeah. So again, what we have to think about and what we should be asking, maybe even Okinawa, because they're the ones who have the responsibility, is can we change that rule? And if there's people who are interested, let them start it. Let them be participants and let them repopulate that tradition again. Yeah, with the ones who want to. Yeah.
So, in former days, were the roosters welcoming for themselves that they were kind of chosen to be priestess, or did they not want to be priestess and have that kind of power?
Kind of from what we got from when we went to Kudaka and talked to some of them, especially our guide that we had. It sounded like it wasn't like a burden at that time because they understood. One, you understand the language. One, you're brought up with that tradition. So it's kind of like internalized in you from when you're young. As to where now it's different. Yeah. You have all of these other distractions and things too, yeah. Okay, so Hachifushi is the third day of the new year, and this day is the first day that you can go out and do work. Yeah, so like the farmers, that would be the first day they would go and dig stuff or harvest things or go into the farmland. Fishermen would go out and go catch their fish, and then people go back to work. Yeah. So during kingdom period, the king would also do his greetings and offer prayers for the country, people, and himself, as well as give thanksgiving to the gods and the guardians for all the people. Yeah. Okay, so these are some pictures of the recreation of this ceremony that they did. So just like in Hawaii, where we have the Aloha court, in Okinawa they have this court that reigns for the whole year, and they choose them to represent this. Yeah. So not only this time, but they also do other ceremony and protocol throughout the year. But this is what they've recreated, how the king would go and do this kind of stuff, and it also, I think, really shows that our royalty were not looked up as or looked upon as gods. Yeah. They were still human beings offering things to the upper level, the spiritual realm. Yeah. So he would offer that for the country, for all the people. Yeah, it's not for himself. Yeah, so Okinawan or Ryukyu or Luchu traditional music, the uzagaku. And this is the procession. So they would use, in these kinds of ceremonies, they would use the robes that were gifted by the emperor from China. Yeah. Okay, so after the establishment of the court, yeah, a lot of the ceremony and protocol followed Chinese traditions, yeah, like the koto or the three bows, and it was done in Chinese language. Okay, so the Hinukan Unke is the day that you welcome back the fire guardian to the house. Yeah. So on the 25th of the 12th month is the day that you send off the fire guardian from the house. You send them back to heaven, and you also at that time bribe them by giving them or giving the guardian food, especially sweets, so that they say good things about you when they go to about you and your family when they go up into the other realm. Yeah. Then they come back to your house on the 4th day of the new year. Yeah. So the kitchen guardian actually started in the pre-contact time. It's like more, yes, you can kind of literally translate it to the guardian of fire, because in each house the kitchen was on the side and it was a hearth. Yeah, it was like there were 3 stones set up, and then in the middle was where the fire would be kept, and you had to make sure that the fire was taken care of. So that was the other responsibility of the women of the house, to make sure that the fire was kept on going. Yeah, so you would have fire for cooking and light. Yeah. So in that sense, if you think about the old way or indigenous way of thinking, that would be an important energy that you would be taking care of. Yeah. So that's where it came from, was from that also. And then it was adapted into the Chinese kind of tradition of the fire god later on, and then moved into the kitchen like this, where you have a corner set up, and the women of the house would take care of the fire guardian there with these kinds of ceremonies. Okay, and then Tushibi is the day that they observe the birthday of the people of that zodiac year. Yeah, so like this year, this coming year is going to be the horse. So all of the horse people celebrate on Tushibi, which Tushibi this year is going to be on the 18th, the day after Sōgwachi. Yeah. So especially for the people who are every 12 years, so it would be the people who are like, especially the person who is that year like 60-year-olds, yeah, because that's the fire horse. If you're a fire horse, and then this next coming year is fire horse. So especially for those people, it's important that they celebrate this. So those of you who know Keith Nakaganeku, he's fire horse.
So when do the rest of the horse people,
On the same day.
but they're not as important in that year?
They still observe, yeah, but then the fire horse people would do a more of a bigger, yeah, yeah. Okay, and then we have the what we call the Jurukunichi, the 16th day, which is also called Guso-no-Sōgwachi. Yeah. It's the New Year's that the ancestors celebrate in the other realm. So we prepare food and we offer that also to the Totome. Yeah.
July 16th day.
I don't know how come they picked 16, but I know there's different numbers that they follow. Yeah. So also Ukwanshin-Sōgwachi, the 16th day. Like in my great grandma's village in Motobu, yeah. This is when they don't do stuff at the house at the totome. They go to the grave and it's like a big picnic that they have, yeah. So this was what they did prior to the shimi, yeah, or how Okinawa adopted the Qingming. Yeah, when they go to the graves in April in the spring, yeah, to honor the ancestors at the grave, yeah. Prior to that tradition, they went on the 16th day of the Lunar New Year, and did their stuff. So like in Motobu, they don't do shimi, they do this instead. Okay, and then this is like starting the ending of the celebrations for Sōgwachi. So this is the 20th day on the lunar calendar. The sweets and leftovers are eaten. Decorations, you kind of clean up the house, take all of those down. And then you offer your prayers to the fire guardian again and to the ancestors. Thank them for joining for the new year, and also ask them to watch over the house and family for the rest of the year.
So, I have a question.
Mhm.
So if, for contemporary Okinawa now, how much of these different celebratory days are really celebrated?
だいたいシージャーターがやるかな、オーバーターが。Yeah, it's mostly the older women to this. If they're, she said, if they're healthy enough.
Getting less. And younger people, some people don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of our traditions that the young people don't want to do. And again, I think, well, we can discuss that later, but I think one thing is the loss of language. Yeah. So then also what they have is what they restarted again was this Juriuma Agai. Again, the Juri were the women who had hostels in the Naha area that kind of took care of the businessmen who came from the different parts of Luchu to do their trade, their business, their politics in Shuri and in Naha. They would take care of these men as second wives. Yeah, they were very educated. They were very educated in politics and in history, so that they could talk story with them, as well as they're educated in performing arts. Yeah, and then also many of them grew up in the Judy house or in those hostels. It wasn't. A lot of them, it wasn't a choice. It was their families didn't have enough money, especially after the Satsuma takeover. because of the high taxes and things like that, the families couldn't afford to have a lot of children. Yeah. So they would just have, they would sell the boys to fishermen or fishing villages, where they needed men for that, and then they would sell their daughters to the Judy house, where they knew that they would be educated, they would be taken care of, they know that they would eat every day, they would have nice clothes to wear, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So these girls would grow up there and they couldn't go back home after. Yeah. That was like, once they're in there, that you were there for life, unless somebody paid your way out. Yeah. So it was only in the Naha area, in the area called Tsuji, and then the Judy relied on the community, because you would have men coming in and out of there all the time and stuff like that. So they relied on the community for their resources, like to make food. They needed to go out into the community to get their supplies and things like that to do this business. Yeah. So again, they're not prostitutes. Yeah. They're Okinawa style of these hostesses. Yeah.
Geishas in Japan?
Geisha. I wouldn't. It's really it's different. Yeah. Because the wives of these men knew that they went to these places. Yeah. And it was accepted. And they would even sometimes they would have children from them. Yeah. So it's kind of a sad story for a lot of them because they couldn't go back. Yeah. So this Juriuma Agai is a celebration for them to celebrate the ending part of the new year and to thank the community for helping them, with being able to go out and buy supplies from them to feed their guests, and for kind of like pretty much putting up with their business within that area, because they were like the bottom of the status in society, so like when they went out and they would see, like we're told, even when they see a child in the street, they would greet the child in a very high status language. So like putting themselves even below the child. Okay. So they would go out into the streets after, and this Juruma Agai is this dance that they would do. They would dress up. They would have a horse image attached to their front part. And then they would dance down the street. So I have a picture. Yeah. So now it's done because we don't have Judy anymore. It's done by the performing arts schools. So they offer their prayers at these different sacred spots that was used before, and in the town, and then they do their performances at the sacred places first. And then they go into the streets and then they perform for the public. Yeah. So this was a time where the parents of these girls would come out into Naha, no matter where they were from, they would come, and this was the only chance they get to see their daughters. Yeah. So, but they couldn't go up to talk to them. Yeah. They could see from afar, from within the crowd.
What age were they usually
campaign?
We heard like from 5, 6. Yeah. So like, if you know the song Hamachi Dori, that's a very kind of famous song and dance. That dance, people think when they look at the dance, they think, oh, it's about these women dancing and they're just, talking about something and dancing together and reminiscing something. But then when you really know the words, if you look at the language, and that's something even the performing arts people don't really explain or talk about when they're teaching the, I don't know about the music, but about the dance. I know the dance teachers, they don't really go into depth about that, about the Judy, and about that song and the dance, because it's really sad. It talks about how the girl was taken by the mom to the beach area to meet the mama song from the Judy house, and then after that exchange, the words talk about like, okay, I'm going on this journey. My pillow will be this grass. But when I look up at the moon, I look up at we can look up at the moon and we can think about we're looking at the same moon. Yeah, and we're looking at the same thing, and that's where our eyes will meet again. So this one is still done on the lunar calendar in Naha. Oh, I guess it does work. I don't know if the audio is coming out over there. Is there audio? Why not have, because we shut them off now.
I think there'll be audio if you, Eric, if you just play the audio through your computer, maybe. And if you go full screen.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's the ending part of the Sōgwachi. So this is on the lunar 20th, yeah. This kind of ends everything and everything is cleaned up. So from looking at what you guys saw, what do you think is the connection to identity, the community, or even family? What is the one thing that you saw that's kind of common throughout the whole thing?
Just a comment. I can't think because of this latest information of these children and females who were, they were Jubies?
Judy.
I mean, I'm just totally shocked. I can't now even make kind of a sense of all of this. Some commonalities.
Has to do with ceremony and protocol. I would give you that clue. No?
Yes, I am not from Okinawa, and then I'm joining this today, first time, and then I learned a lot. Surprise. And then should be following where ancestor from, where I from, and then should keep going to tradition. That's I feel. For Okinawa.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Yes, very.
if you look at all of the observances, it always included ancestors. Yeah, always included ancestors. It wasn't for somebody's self. It wasn't for themselves. It always includes, you have to include ancestors. That's one of the main things. It includes some chants or music, yeah. And then it also includes participation of, it's an intergenerational participation. It's not just old people, it's not just, as to where now it's only old people. Yeah.
I guess somebody had a comment, they said the horse is the unity of everyone wearing the same outfit and dancing together.
Yeah. Yeah, it helps to, the Judy Uma, I know for maybe you, it kind of like brings it down, but it's actually uplifting the women. Yeah, it uplifts the women in their way of celebrating who they are and also celebrating the community at the same time. That's the Okinawan thinking. That's that's their thinking is, it's, yes, they have this hard life, but there's times like this where they can celebrate especially when they can celebrate with community. It's always that connection to community.
About that, yeah, this, not a poster, but this thing, the white, in the background, the biggest kanji, biggest letters that they put there is chinkon. Yeah,
Chinkon.
at the kind of bottom, it's kind of
Oh.
Yeah, but that is the repose. The meaning of that is a repose of the soul or soothes the spirit
Mhm.
of dead. Right, so I guess the main thing is, the main objective of this event, their event is that, right? Because of course they were sold when they're small and then they have to leave the family and then all those things, they have a hard life and everything, but just like you were saying, at the same time, the celebration of their lives and by celebrating their lives, not just focusing on the sad nature of the story, but at the same time, Chinkon, that is the biggest letters there.
So it looks like nobody's left.
Yeah, so that's why they go to the different sacred places, because the spirit of the past ones are over there. Yeah. So always including that realm from the outside to be with the celebrations is all part of our identity. Yeah. The other thing to think about too is, well, we'll end with Norman playing the using the words for Sogachi, but then I think that really even that song for Sogachi really kind of emanates this kind of thing too, where winter is supposed to be dark, yeah, but within that darkness you have the light, like the charcoal. You have these celebrations. No matter what, that Okinawan way of thinking is, no matter how hard our life might be, there's always some kind of light that we can look towards to help us bring us out. Yeah. And then that darkness also for us is not a symbolism of something that is an end. The darkness also reminds us of the beginning, because our life began in darkness in our mother's womb. Yeah. And if we talk about like the creation stories, it talks about how everything was created, that it was created from the darkness. Everything was, the things from the ocean came from darkness. Yeah, like in Nago, when they talk about the first people coming up from the ocean, from the walking coral that came onto the land, that came from the darkness and became the life. It became who we are. So looking at all of that, but the other thing that it kind of makes me think, like what you guys observed or what you guys got is that where is the intergenerational celebrations now? How come, like what Nanako said, in Okinawa it's mostly the old people that do these things. Yeah. Like, why? What happened? Yeah. In Hawaii, in our, I think, and we're gonna also, I think, maybe look at this even in the summit too. Is like, why the diaspora? Yeah. How come we don't do these things? How come we don't observe in some way? We don't keep up these traditions, or we don't go back and try to find out. Like for me, it's sometimes hard because I have totome at my house. So because I have that, I know that that's the responsibility. So on these days, I gotta make food. I gotta do this. I have to be there for the ancestors to do it. And I'm not supposed to think of it as like, this is a chore. It's like supposed to have that feeling, like how they did, that feeling of thankfulness, and that's part of what needs to be done. Yeah. So you just do it. Yeah. But how many of us in our diaspora now, like, people just write it off as, oh, I'm Christian, I cannot do this. Yeah, you can. You can find a Christian way of doing this. Use the Hawaiians as an example. There's a lot of Hawaiians who are Christian, but then they still do Hawaiian traditions. Yeah. Same with other indigenous cultures too. Yeah. So I think gotta start looking back at those kinds of things too. Because how much, yeah, we can say we're Okinawan, but how much are we only Okinawan when we go to a festival, when we eat Okinawa food, when somebody asks us who we are? Yeah. What is that? What is our identity? Is our identity the light switch that we turn on and off when we want to? Yeah. So by doing this kind of stuff, it reminds, like, it wasn't, this is only 1 month. This is only Sōgwachi, yeah? Every month they have something, or in tradition, we had things where when we followed the lunar calendar, and we had our language, yeah. But again, if we look at history for any indigenous culture, take away the language, and then culture and traditions follow. They start to disappear too. Yeah. Any other comments or? No? I'll have you guys think about it and then ask Norman to, if he can play the New Year's song with those words. And then think about the words, and he can explain that better than I can.
Okay, so lyrics is Aratama no tushi ni tantoku obu kajati kukuru kara shigata wakaku nayu sa. And yeah, there's several layers embedded in the lyrics. So of course, one thing about this particular song is, the Okinawan classical songs, a lot of them are the timbre of the song, the feeling that's attached to the melody, it usually comes from the original lyrics that were used with that song. And so it's not the melody itself, but it's rather the lyrics to the song that kind of set the tone for that song. So when you interchange lyrics into the song, so like Kajadefu is this particular song, we use have a lot of different versions, but usually when you interchange, you don't just kind of interchange the lyrics randomly. There's usually kind of a running theme that's used to change the lyrics, and like what Eric mentioned about the idea of sort of light and dark, and the light coming out from the dark is an important theme that's embedded in this particular melody. It talks about sort of most of the cases indicate sort of new beginnings, and a lot of times sort of new beginnings and coming out of like a period of strife or of conflict. And yeah, so basically it generally talks about having this, the melody itself is, carries a lot of joy, but joy that comes out of this sort of ending strife. And so this idea of cycles, right, that again, like Eric mentioned, it's not necessarily just happy or sad, but rather that there's, from the period of darkness there comes light, which will go back to dark and back to light again. So those kind of cycles. And so which is appropriate in thinking about New Year. So Sōgwachi represents, the start of a new year, start of a new cycle, which means that each of the observances that happens during that cycle are kind of markers throughout the year of everyday life, and particularly everyday life of people attached to the land. So, usually, most of the observances are somehow attached to planting and to harvest and that flow of life. And so the new year is, yeah, basically a recognition of making it through another cycle. And in all Okinawan observances, is always the two elements. The first element is of gratitude. It's always thank you for everything that brought us to this moment now. And the second element is hope, is that everything that brought us to this point now, we hope for that same type of abundance that helps us to remain. And so, aratama no tushi ni, when you say the new year, it's not just, it's not something that you just take for granted, that it's just, passage of time, but rather everything that it took for this year to happen, for this new year to happen, for you to have the life to be living in this new year. And and so Kantukubo Kajati, you display the tan, which is the charcoal, and the kulubu, which is the seaweed. Is put on display, and so that what the significance that Eric mentioned is, the act of putting that on display is not just simply just having a decoration, but rather, again, it signifies everything that brought that moment, this new year to your life, right? And kukuru kara shigata wakaku no yesa means, kukuru kara shigata is sort of the image or the thing that you project from your spirit, from your soul. And wakaku no yesa means that becomes younger. And so what it's saying, there's this idea that as the body ages, the spirit gets younger. And so there's this, again, it's this kind of inverse cycle. So as you, basically when you return to when you enter the tomb at the end of your life, it's actually the significance of returning to a womb. Yeah, and so the idea also that as you age, as things like dementia and things set in, you start to act more childish in a way. So your body, you start to mature, your body matures, but then you also become younger. And so the idea of wakamizi is the idea of that is the water sustains sort of this life. It helps in that, again, that cycle. It helps to perpetuate that cycle of carrying your health through the aging process, but then also keeping the abundance of having family and friends and close relationships to keep you young in spirit. And supposedly the less health that you have, then the more abundance you have in terms of the relationships, in terms of your family that surrounds you, a larger family as you get older, closer relationships, closer friendships. And so as one thing starts to diminish, then something else becomes more abundant in this place. And so the significance, when you do a literal translation of those lyrics, it's seems very straightforward and simple, but from the perspective of the cycles that are involved with life, and also the idea of the importance of gratitude and the importance of hope that is embedded in every observance in Okinawan traditions. Those lyrics become much more simple. Okay, so this song, Kazini Fu, for Sōgwachi.
あなた
Okay, any questions or other comments for Sōgwachi? So now you guys can all go and celebrate Sōgwachi Okinawa Way this year. Yeah, so again, if you don't have, like, you cannot make all the foods like that, do what you can, yeah? Start small and then build your way up as you go every year. And then again, what helps is if you have family that can help, yeah? Who knows how to make barafte? Who knows how to make pig's feet soup? Who knows how to make kubumaki? Who knows how to make this? Nishime is not Okinawan now. Yeah, so who can make all these things, and then you just get together and you can do it, or like a potluck or something like that. Yeah. And then if you don't have totome, get together with people you know at somebody's house and celebrate together. Yeah. Okay. No other questions, or you guys good? Anything else from online? Okay. Nihei debiru.